Hi neighbors. Happy Monday. Hello. I heard one of my neighbors mowing the lawn, so I don't know if that's going to start back up, so we'll do what we can. Thanks for joining me tonight. We've got a few things on the agenda for the work session. A couple of things that are just going to happen in the work session, which, by the way, before I dive in, the work session is starting at 4:30 tomorrow instead of at 5 to give us time to do our first budget workshop. It's more like it's Budget 101. Really, we're just going to be going over the current year's budget and just like how we got there and how it's, how we tackle each of the department budgets. So, but that's not the first item on the agenda. The first item on the agenda is a very exciting presentation by Barge Design Solutions. They're going to be presenting the Dayton Boulevard right size study that was mostly funded by the Tennessee Department of Health Healthy Built Environment Grant. It was $50,000. I think we ended up having to pay about $9,000 to go along with that to complete the payment on that study. But if you haven't been keeping up with the right size study, looking at potential solutions to reduce traffic lanes, traffic speed, add traffic calming measures, and other connectivity, multimodal connectivity options throughout the city. And so this is going to be a very brief presentation on that, probably about like 15-20 minutes. But just talking about those recommendations, they actually followed when they got all of the data, they followed the TDOT, the Tennessee Department of Transportation's road diet guide, to make recommendations. And they did say that it was feasible to bring at least parts of Dayton Boulevard from a 5-lane highway down to a 3-lane Main Street. So 1 lane of traffic in either direction with a dedicated turn lane in the middle. But this is just the very, this is the just presentation of the study. And then, anything else is going to have to come after that with grant funding and other further review. But if you want to tune into that presentation, there is a brief summary that's been included on the work session agenda packet on the redbanktn.gov website. But otherwise, it is only going to be presented in the work session at 4:30. So if you want to tune into that, that's when you need to either be there or live streaming. And then item number 2, we're going to get our monthly financial update from our CFO, Chris Pickle. I'm not going to go into that. She's going to go into that tomorrow. That is also uploaded into the agenda packet, so if you want to look it over, if you have any questions, you can go ahead and check out those numbers right now. And then item number 3 is the Budget Workshop 101 that I already mentioned and kind of went into, that Mr. Granum, our city manager, is going to be going through. So I was going to let you guys know, in case you didn't see the memo that the city put out for the remainder of the budget season. So tomorrow will be the Budget 101 kind of introduction to the budget. The first actual budget workshop, where we're going to be receiving the budget estimate from the city manager and his staff, is going to happen next Tuesday, April 22nd. That meeting starts at 5 o'clock, and that is outside of a regular commission meeting. So that is a standalone budget workshop meeting. So we'll be able to talk as long as we need to, or ask questions or whatever, and citizens also will be able to. We also have our budget workshop number 2 the next Tuesday, April 29th at 5 o'clock. Same situation as the first budget workshop. We're going to have a budget review at our regular monthly meeting, our first monthly meeting on May the 6th at 4:30. So like tomorrow, we're going to be meeting early at 4:30, kind of to just go over what we've covered so far in those budget workshops, have some discussion, hear from citizens. And then our first budget vote is scheduled for our second May meeting, May 20th. And then our second budget vote is scheduled for June the 3rd. So, you know, if we need to add extra meetings, like a special called meeting because we feel like we need to have more discussion about something and we're not going to get time to do it, we can always do that. We have until June 30th to vote on the budget to be in compliance with the state comptroller's guidelines and recommendations to vote on the budget. So if we need to push out the second vote to our second meeting in June, we can also do that. So this was done intentionally to have some buffer just in case we needed to have that. So, and just FYI, I think I talked about this at my last porch talk, but because the property assessor is doing reappraisals this year and people can contest those, well, could contest those, I think the deadline passed, and they're going to be reassessing and all that. We're not going to get our certified tax rate from the state until after we vote on the budget. So the way we're going to do it this year, like we did in 2021, is when we vote on the budget, we're going to vote on the budget with the tax rate that we currently have, which is $1.67. So then after we get the certified tax rate, we will have a whole totally separate public hearing and meeting about that, you know, and discussion about the tax rate based on our reappraisal values. So just FYI, in case you're wondering about that, just stay tuned. That is going to happen. It's just not, we're not going to have that tax rate from the state before we vote on the budget. All right. Item number 4, authorization to apply for the Project Diabetes Grant for an amount of up to $150,000 per year for 3 years. So a total of up to $450,000. This is a, hold on, let me look at my other paper here. I think this is a another Department of Health grant. I'm having a brain fart. Yes, Tennessee Department of Health. Tennessee Department of Health grant. And what the intention is for us to apply for this for the max of $150,000 per year, because Jeffrey Graby, our Parks and Rec manager, has developed a phased plan of trail cutting at Godsey's Ridge, which, in case you aren't aware, is the 18 plus acres that the city owns that runs behind the pool, the Red Bank swimming pool, and then across from the community center. Talking about getting trails cut through there, and some other amenities, maybe another bathroom amenity, some wayfinding signage and things like that. And then there are multiple other, 2 other phases that, depending on whether or not we get that full amount, we would be able to potentially do some expansion at the community center, create kind of like maybe like a walking path loop that connects around across the street there with crosswalks and ADA accessibility and all of those things. So what's really cool about this grant is that we actually had to submit a letter of intent to even to hopefully be invited to apply. And Jeffrey did such a great job with our letter of intent that they did invite us to apply for this application. They could easily have, you know, looked at it and said, no, we're not really going to consider that. But they did, they accepted it. And so we are now going to be voting to actually make that application. So thank you to Jeffrey, our Parks and Rec team, him and his part-time assistant, for doing that. I'm really excited about all of the potential there. And also, I've mentioned this in public meetings, but it's really cool because talking about doing some trails and things like that at Godsey's Ridge is amazing, because I have a newspaper clipping from the 60s. Thank you to one of my neighbors who got me some historical documents from an estate sale here in Red Bank. Her name's Abby, and she's awesome. And she gifted this to me, and looking through it, I found a newspaper clipping from the 60s, from the mid-1960s, where they were actually talking about applying for grant funding to do trails at Godsey's Ridge. This was all part of the National conversion, or the National Park Service conversion later on, and unfortunately it got cut. But it's just really cool. We've kind of come like full circle, because this was something that was even desired by our community back in the 60s. So hopefully we can get this grant funding and get this project started. We'll all cross our fingers for that. Item number 5 is authorization to apply to and participate in the Bulletproof Vest Grant for the police department. It is a refundable amount of 50% of the cost. I think they're requesting 18 vests. It would be about a little over $10,000 refundable amount. This is something that I think comes around every couple of years, and it just helps offset the cost for that equipment that our police department needs. So we'll be talking about that. Item number 6 is agreement with RJ Young to purchase and replace up to 20 computers that have reached end of life. This amount is not to exceed $35,000. It's coming from ARPA grant funds, and it's partially because they've reached end of life, so to speak, in that they cannot be upgraded to Windows 11. So we're going to have to transition those out and purchase the new computers that can be upgraded to Windows 11. And then we have a beer board meeting. We have David Stefanie with the Chattanooga Breakfast Rotary Club just coming to make an application for a special permit to vend beer at the Jubilee and at the Christmas Parade and Festival, which they have done for the last couple of years. And then Jeff Schwanke with Clever Ale House has made an application for a special event permit to vend beer at the grand opening of Haley Reynolds' home, which is actually opening in one of the renovated spaces at the formerly known as Cooley's building. So really excited. Haley Reynolds' home occupies a very small space inside of Bud's Floral currently, but they are moving into one of the 2 renovated spaces that was Cooley's. So really exciting. They've been doing well, and they're gonna expand into this other space, so that's really cool and exciting. Just as an aside, I had a meeting today with some folks who are contingently buying a property here in Red Bank to open up their business. It would contain some offices and some potential event space, and so I'm just really excited to see all of the people who are interested in bringing their small businesses to our community. I think they feel really supported here, and so excited to see these things happening. And make sure you go save the date for Haley Reynolds' home grand opening, which is May the 10th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And then the last item is to proclaim April 23rd as Administrative Professionals Day. And we like to do that to honor and recognize all the folks in our office who make City Hall run so smoothly and efficiently and serve all of our departments, even if they're not necessarily assigned to those departments. So that's it. Do you guys have any questions? We're also, by the way, we are also going to be doing second and final votes on all of the public hearing and ordinances that we had for the rezonings at our last meeting. So if you are interested in giving comments on the final vote on those, there's rezoning for 309 Midvale Avenue, 313 Midvale Avenue. Both of those are going from R1 residential to RTZ. And then 1109 Dayton Boulevard, rezoning from C1 commercial to C3 neighborhood commercial. So if you want to be there to give comments about those or ask questions, make sure you're at the meeting. And yes, thank you, Vice Mayor. The hand-painted sign at Haley Reynolds is looking great. It is looking great. I love seeing the investment that's happening in our community, and also some of these, artistic takes on things and adding some beauty to our community. So it's really cool. It's cool. Cool things are happening. Also, oh gosh, I don't have it with me. If you haven't seen it, I have to tell you, I went to a little release party for this at the Book and Cover the other night. The Bitter Southerner. If you don't know what the Bitter Southerner is, please look it up and find out. They're amazing. A gentleman who lives in Tennessee coordinated with Megan Ledbetter, who is our Red Bank neighbor, who has been taking photos of, doing research on, and documenting the field, the Potter's Field Cemetery that was lost for over 100 years. The location was unknown, and it was rediscovered, and it is here in Red Bank city limits. And we have been doing a lot of the behind-the-scenes kind of legwork. Megan primarily working with Trust for Public Land, TPL, and she worked with this this writer to write this piece about the field, and he actually got in contact with 2 descendants of family members who were buried at the field. And so it's just really powerful. You can actually buy a copy if they still have some at the book and cover. It was a little over $21. It's a hefty read, and it's, you know, it's heavy. But we got to talk about these things and make sure that we're honoring the people that were buried there. So anyway, just wanted to throw that out there in case you hadn't heard about that. And if you guys don't have any other questions, title, author, I think the title of the article, oh, it's so powerful. I mean, if you guys want to wait a second, I might skedaddle inside and just bring it out really quick. So just pause. And I'm back. So here's the article, and it has Michael Shannon on the front, who is an amazing actor. So really cool. Skedaddle. And then here, let me open up the article. It's pretty incredible, actually. You're thumbing through and you're reading, and then all of a sudden you get to the article, and you read a magazine left to right like this, and then look. If you were doing that, you would see this. It's titled Your Brother's Blood. It's incredible. It's just truly incredible. And it has all these beautiful photos by our Red Bank neighbor, Megan Ledbetter. Has pictures of some of the markers that they've been able to locate in the field. And it's just really incredible that this story is being told at this scale. Really, really, really cool. So if you can't get a copy at the Book and Cover, which is a local bookstore, and would be really super cool if you could buy it from them and support a local small business, a woman-owned business, you can just order it online from the Bitter Southerner. So, yeah. That's it. The author, by the way, I think his name is Tom Lee. Tomlee. He's the author of the piece. So, okay, friends, if you don't have any other questions, thanks for joining. I hope to see you tomorrow at 4:30 at our work session, starting budget season. Yay! All right, I'll see you guys later.